Hey guys, let's cover a new weapon guide for Borderlands 3. This time we are going over Anointed Gear in the game. Anointed Gear is not a new rarity, but instead can be found on every type of weapon in the game. And it's more like Loonshine weapons from the pre-sequel, where they are given extra perks and extra advantages that make them somewhat the best in slot weapons. I will get into all of that. I also want to announce I will be streaming tomorrow at midnight the release of Borderlands 3 on YouTube. I know I've been sending people over to Twitch, but I just haven't built it up enough, and why not just start here with everyone that's already on this site. I'll probably also be launching channel memberships at the same time, so stay tuned for all of that. Make sure to check it out. It will be my first time playing the game ever. So, my first solo live stream. Be on the lookout for that. Now, Anointed Gear, as I said, is not a new rarity, but can instead be found on multiple different rarities in Borderlands 3. We aren't sure if it goes all the way down to white tier, but we know it definitely includes legendary, purple, and blue. Now, the extra perk, as I mentioned, of these weapons usually gives some extra benefit that can't be found really on any other gear in the game, and mostly are tied to your respective Vault Hunter's action skill. I've seen anointed perks that give the next 2 magazines 50% additional bonus corrosive damage, or another one that deals 125 more damage to badass, named, and boss enemies for a short time. Another one is a blue rarity weapon that after using attack command on flat gain 30% lifesteal for a short time. Or one for Moze, which says while auto bear is active deals 20% bonus incendiary damage. So it definitely will cover all the characters, but it doesn't just give damage. Like on the one we saw with Flak, it gave lifesteal for a short time, but damage is something it can give, and it really seems to boost up what characters are already great at, like incendiary damage with Moze. Now, so how this gear is obtained? Well, there are 2 ways that have been discovered so far. The first is from Crazy Earl's vending machine, which does cost iridium to use and has been seen having higher tiered weapons than throughout the rest of the game, which is why it costs iridium and not just money. So it makes sense that these higher quality anointed gear would be in this vending machine. These weapons have also been found in the Proving Grounds chest, which is part of the endgame content for Borderlands 3, so once again it makes sense that these items would be found to help get players through the endgame and to tougher difficulties. I do assume though that these will be able to drop everywhere, they might just have lower chances everywhere else. Now, something else I really haven't seen anybody else cover is Gearbox has hinted at the fact of having anointed enemies in game. We aren't really sure what this means, if they just have a better chance of dropping the loot, or if they will be harder than other enemies. But Paul Sage, the creative director of Borderlands 3, spoke about anointed gear and weapons and gave some new details at the launch party livestream. So let's play that clip.
We have enemies in the game, we have what we call badasses, and everybody's used to those, but we have another spin on that this time around, and people see that. They're a little bit tougher even than badasses.
Huh. I think I saw this actually on the website. Are these the Anointed?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is absolutely what they are.
It's information on the website. I'm not spoiling the show that you can watch on September.
Picked a good co-host.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So there's Anointed Enemies, Anointed Gear. Yeah, this wasn't a secret email that they gave to us. I read
hacked the site. You dug through the source code.
This research is crazy, but yeah.
Fran knows things I don't know. No, the Anointed Gear is also something that's really different. I love to think of a different word for this, but it sits orthogonally to our normal rarity system, right? Which is, so we have, common, uncommon, very rare gear, and then legendary, all that. And this sits orthogonally to that, which means that you can find anointed gear that is common, uncommon, very rare, and
I think we just got a few details, Greg.
Yeah, good job, Fran. High five.
Yeah. Ruined our September 18th show already.
Yeah, no, please watch the Borderlands show when it debuts.
Yeah, but like I said, now that actually, the reason I think that's important to talk about Anointed Gear is what you're doing in that kind of veteran game chase is you're chasing after that gear because it's actually the first gear we've done that speaks to your character skills and the way you build your character out.
Huh. Yeah.
Other than class mods, of course, but I mean the first weapons like that.
So it seems that Gearbox is using Anointed as the final step for those players who love farming. On top of just finding a legendary weapon with perfect parts and stats, now you have to find the same weapon with the right Anointed prefix you want. We aren't sure how many there'll be, but just based off the 4 that I named off previously, I bet there probably will be in the tens, if not hundreds of different perks and Anointed stats you can find. So finding the perfect one will be that extra level of farming. I really like this idea of having a sub rarity. If you want to play all of Borderlands 3 without really focusing on Anointed Gear, you can. You might even be using Anointed Gear but not really focusing on the ability. But for those players who are going for the hardest Mayhem mode difficulty, this is the gear you will be looking for, and I hope that the chance of finding an Anointed Legendary is a hard feat, which makes the people who have farmed enough to get this gear feel the farm was worth it. One other piece of information that Paul mentions is Anointed Enemies. Now, I do not think this was on the website anywhere, and definitely was some new information that they weren't probably supposed to talk about, that we will be seeing Anointed Enemies throughout our time playing Borderlands 3. As I kind of mentioned before, I don't know if these enemies will have a higher chance to drop Anointed Gear compared to the normal loot sources like chests, tinks, and bosses. It would be a really nice way to switch up farming just to focus on Anointed Enemies, especially if they are given harder stats and they are more difficult, but the payout is very worth it. Either way, there are still a lot of mysteries about Anointed Gear in Borderlands 3, and I can't wait to play for myself and understand everything, so make sure to check out my live stream tomorrow at midnight EST to see my first playthrough. Make sure to like and share this video, subscribe for daily Borderlands news, and I will see you guys in the next one.